The consequences of climate change. Beautiful tourist destinations such as Germany's Ahr Valley are being destroyed.
This region cannot function without tourism.
But climate change also offers new opportunities for tourists off the beaten track.
I think there's going to be many more because of the new airport is coming.
Climate change is also impacting tourism on the island of Mallorca, the dream destination of many Germans.
In some districts, the water taps were turned off. There were water shortages for domestic use.
Tourism in times of climate change. We look at 3 destinations and 3 approaches. The Ahr Valley has become a symbol of climate change in Germany and shows how a natural catastrophe can damage local tourism. Before the floods, this region attracted 500,000 visitors per year. But those times are over. People in the Ahr Valley are wondering how a new form of tourism could look in times of climate change. Christian and Clarissa Lindner, who live in Bad Neuenahr, are thinking about this too. Their hotel, the Art Nouveau Villa Aurora, built in 1905, was almost completely destroyed by the flood.
We're the 4th generation to run this hotel. The original building has grown a bit over the years and has survived 2 world wars. It has a history of its own.
Christian Lindner's great-grandparents opened the hotel at the beginning of the 20th century. The flood destroyed the suites, the kitchen, and the wellness area.
It is still unbelievable. We were here on the night of the flood, and we cleared out all the mud, all the furniture. We cleared out everything we had. We felt like we were watching a bad film. But this is real. We're living on a building site. This is our life. But what happened that night is still just unbelievable.
We are happy that our children got through the night and that nothing bad happened.
Now the Lindners face the enormous challenge of rebuilding the hotel. They want to retain its Art Nouveau charm and to make it sustainable, with new insulation on the outside and district heating instead of oil and gas heating. Wherever possible, their renovation is climate-friendly.
In future, guests will expect it. They won't say, "Oh, it's great that you're sustainable." They'll say, "I expect sustainability in terms of CO2 neutrality and everything else." So in 5 or 10 years' time, it won't be a huge plus to be sustainable. It'll be normal. And it's a problem if you don't have it.
The Lindners are striving to reopen at least part of the hotel. The first guests should be able to eat breakfast here in just a few weeks. We'll see later if it works out. In Greenland, the catastrophe hasn't arrived overnight, but is taking place gradually. The eternal ice is thawing, making way for places previously only discovered by a few people. Will climate change provide an opportunity for tourism here and a new income stream for the Greenlanders? We do a boat trip from the coast of Nuuk, the capital of Greenland. Only 19,000 people live here. 26-year-old MALOU SKIFTE has been working as a tourist guide for a year in this remote place.
I'm going to tell about our Nuuk's fjord system. It's the second largest in the whole world. You can see Gabisitlin, which means the salmon, from here to all the way to the big sea. We had a maritime course where we learned about the engine and stuff, so we can sail a boat sometime. Then now I am like captain, so I really like it.
Malou really enjoys speeding across the water. Visitors come to Greenland in search of adventure and the wild beauty of unspoiled nature. Simone and Gunnar van der Leden from Denmark have made a point of coming here in the winter.
The nature is the one that is stronger than you as a human being. So to be here to experience is also to feel a little bit small.
Yeah, of course, that's you could say a part of the reason actually for going here too. The ice cap is melting and accelerating. You could say that the temperature is rising 3 times in normal. So it's for the next 50 years the ice cap will be melting really fast. So it's an opportunity to see it now.
For many people, Greenland has become the symbol of climate change. Just 57,000 people live in Greenland, which has an area 6 times larger than Germany. Traveling is arduous here, but rising temperatures make it easier, for cruise ships, for instance. Around 137,000 tourists come to Greenland every year, and the numbers are rising. 3 new airports are currently being built. Politically, Greenland belongs to Denmark. The economy depends on payments from Copenhagen. The increasing tourism is a welcome source of income. Nuuk Water Taxi, the firm that tour guide Malou works for, is based in Nuuk. The team is currently expanding its offering of winter activities.
Seasonality is really big in Greenland. We get a lot of tourists in the few short summer months, and then during the shoulder season, as we call them, not as many, which means for us as a company, we can't hold on to all our employees. They have to go and find something else to do in the winter time.
Year-long tourism would be an important factor for the labor market and for Greenland's economy.
Fishing is still our main industry, but with the warming climate, you see some fish disappearing, and the number of fish is always fluctuating. Like we've had even some decades where fish was just completely gone. And if that happens again, I think it's important to have other economic pillars for the whole nation's GDP.
But is Greenland ready for more tourists? We've seen what can happen when too many visitors come to one island. This is Mallorca, the Germans' favorite holiday destination. Visitor numbers are back to pre-pandemic levels. Nobody wants to hear about the island's environmental problem. Water shortages have been triggered by climate change and tourism. Margarita Ramis is the spokesperson for the largest environmental organization in Mallorca. She says that tourism is using up the island's water.
La realidad es que un turista consume más agua que un residente.
The fact is that tourists consume more water than a normal inhabitant.
3
times as much, according to a study by the University of Palma. So if you have 16 million tourists coming to an island of 1 million inhabitants in the summer, you can imagine what that means for the demand on water.
Muy importantes durante los meses de verano.
These Mallorcan people are protesting, and Margarita is one of the organizers. They're demonstrating for more environmental protection and less mass tourism. Many tourists have no idea that they're partly responsible for the water shortage on the island. Increasing drought triggered by climate change is exacerbating the problem.
One of the main arguments is that we are totally dependent on one single economic sector, tourism. The island has no alternatives. To maintain our prosperity, Mallorca is forced to attract more and more vacationers. But it's not good for the well-being of our society or environment. It's simply not sustainable.
More and more tourists mean less and less water. People are starting to look for solutions in Mallorca. Meanwhile, construction and renovation are continuing in the Ahr Valley. But the return to tourism is still a long way off. At least the Ahr Promenade is being resurfaced. There's still a lot to do at Villa Aurora before the partial reopening. The Lindners are faced with new requirements all the time. Now they need a new fire protection concept. Sustainable tourism for the entire region is a great wish for Christian Lindner, who is the chairman of Untitled Tourism. The association wants to revive the region as a tourist destination. Hotel and restaurant owners and winemakers all mull over ideas for climate-friendly travel in the Ahr Valley.
Tourism is expected to focus on sustainability, to create offers for all age groups, and to focus on aspects of tourism that are already sustainable, such as cycling or hiking, and the issue of mobility.
For me, what's missing is the infrastructure. We can talk more about sustainable mobility, e-mobility, but what we really need is charging stations for electric cars. In Bad Neuenahr, before the flood, there was only one charging option, just one at BMW. And they were kind enough to say, send your people to us. I mean, that just isn't good enough.
The Ahr Valley will be a showcase for the tourist model of the future, an exemplary, sustainable, climate-friendly holiday destination. The concept is planned for completion in 2025. It's a great idea, but how does it work in practice? In their climate-conscious reconstruction of their hotel, the Lindner family has numerous hurdles to overcome.
A lot more needs to be done. There is too much red tape. All the political and administrative processes are simply too slow. What really saddens me is that they can't be a bit more generous in dealing with a catastrophe like this and say, hey, you guys need to get back on your feet. So we'll speed up the processes and make decisions and just get on with it.
Red tape is causing the review of their fire protection concept to drag on too. The authorities are understaffed, so it'll take at least 6 weeks longer than announced. It's a setback, and the hoped-for partial opening of the hotel has been postponed. Back to Greenland, to a small town called Qaqortoq. It's in the south of the country. The town is virtually undiscovered, accessible only by helicopter. So far, there's no airport, but that's about to change. The runway should be ready in 2025. Then the first tourists will arrive. The locals hope it will be a lucrative business. Up to now, the mining of raw materials and fishing have provided the biggest sources of income. But both industries cause massive damage to the environment. But can tourism be a climate-friendly alternative? Is it the lesser evil? For now, no one can say whether the increase in visitors will be a curse or a blessing for Greenland. Qaqortoq campus is the only university in South Greenland. This is where students are being trained to build up the local tourist industry, future tour guides, hoteliers, and tourism managers. Until now, many young Greenlanders had to leave the country to pursue higher education, and a large proportion remained in local businesses with no vocational training. Much hope is invested in the young, who want more Greenlandic self-determination and to break free from the world's hunger for raw materials. Students come from the whole country to Qaqortoq. Ree Oldenborg heads the Tourism Studies Department. Demand from graduates for her course is greater than ever.
We expect that we will have even more tourists when the new airports, the 4 airports, will be finished. And we are told from our authorities that we will have to have at least 400 Greenlandic personnel ready when the airports are finished, and we're not nearly there, but the interest from the students is growing, I think.
It's the day of the exam. Ree Oldenborg and her colleague Egil Christensen are putting their students' knowledge to the test with a guided city tour. The first candidate is Pippa Luck Andersen. Her friends call her Pippa.
It has just been in my heart, and I love it so much, and there's so much of Greenland that I want to show. And being a guide gives me that opportunity to show other people from around the world what I love about Greenland and where I'm from.
When you're ready, okay, go.
Hello, welcome. My name is Pippa. I'm 22 years old. Currently studying at the Campus Gothic as a Arctic tour guide.
Pippa has 20 minutes for her tour. Her knowledge of culture, geography, and history are all put to the test, as well as her skill as a tour guide.
Welcome to the open fish market.
The theme of the tour is hunting in Greenland.
This is the skin of a ring seal, so you can see. It's really hard to see, but they usually have small rings on the patterns.
There's holes in it?
Yeah, that's where their arms used to be. They cut the arms off. Nothing goes to waste, and we still keep that.
Pippa has chosen her own topic, like all of the examination candidates. There is a tradition of hunting in her family, and she knows the topic well.
The hunting season is from 1st of August to end of September.
Her time is up.
We'll head towards the museum, and then we'll evaluate.
It was very quick. The time flew by very fast, and I had a lot more that I would have loved to say, especially about the hunting tools, which is very important, and the topic I was really excited to talk about.
In a few hours, Pippa will find out whether she's passed her exam. Back to an island with a long history of tourism. In Mallorca, Norbert and Christiane Amthor from Germany run a finca in Calvià, in the west of the island. This season, the heat and drought have been troubling them for months. The Amthor's well has run dry again. The only solution is to buy more water. It's the 6th time this year that Norbert Amthor has had to order the tanker.
We have 90 centimeters of water in the cistern, which is just about the limit. Now we have to add 10 or 15 centimeters with the 12,000 liters in the truck. We need that pretty urgently.
It costs 70 euros, surprisingly little for such a precious commodity.
Sign for the invoice, then you can transfer the money. If you are satisfied, so am I.
Muchas gracias.
The Amthors tried to save water, But there are limits if the hotel is to remain attractive for guests. The same principle applies to both small and large hotels. They are the biggest wasters of water on the island. Luxury hotels have several pools with sunbathing areas and wellness facilities. The more stars a hotel has, the more water it consumes. The operators are aware of the problem, but they don't want to force their guests to save water.
They always point out that you have the great option here of being provided with clean towels for the pool or the beach. Then it's your responsibility to say, do I change it every day, or can I use it for a few days?
The hotel operators think that their guests should be able to completely switch off for a carefree vacation, even from issues such as water consumption and climate protection.
As a company, we don't want the customer to feel uncomfortable or think they are doing something wrong. That's why we have to try and solve this problem ourselves, or at least reduce it.
So Fernando Martin tinkers with solutions behind the scenes. He aims to make the water consumption sustainable in his hotel using a circulation system.
Okay, this is the biggest installation we have. It's a reference in the hotels world, and it's our proud from company.
Water used by guests in the showers or sinks is recycled here for flushing toilets or watering the green areas. Using the latest technology, it's done in an environmentally friendly way. According to the operators, it saves the hotel around 30 tons of water per day.
We're doing everything we can to use less water. As a first step, we give water that is only slightly polluted a second life. Our greatest goal is to eventually draw no water at all from outside, but to have a closed cycle within the hotel. There's still a long way to go until then, but we're working on it.
The government of Mallorca recently passed a new law that all hotels should pursue a closed circulation strategy for water as well as for energy, waste, and food. Environmentalists like Margarita Ramis are skeptical about it.
Tourism can never be a circular sector. It consumes far too much energy and resources that cannot be offset anywhere. An island like Mallorca, in particular, cannot cope with it in the long term. If a hotel uses less water and recycles its waste, it's a good thing. It's necessary, but it's not enough.
This is tourism in times of climate change. In Mallorca, people are being forced to take measures hardly anyone had thought about until recently. In Greenland, tourism is still in its infancy. Enough local tour guides need to be trained first. Pippa, the student of tourism, is waiting for the evaluation of her city tour. She's also been tested on her time allocation. Some tour groups have little time for a city tour, especially those from cruise ships. Examiners Rie Oldenborg and Eigil Christensen say that Pippa could have tightened her program a bit more.
We believe there is still room for improvement, which is why we decided to give you 10 out of 12 points, so you still have an incentive for the next exam.
The first of a total of 10 exams has been completed. Pippa and her fellow students are optimistic about Greenland's tourism future. Yet many of them are still uncertain about what to expect and how to cope with it.
I do think that the numbers of tourists will go up when they are done making the two airports. Wouldn't come as a surprise. It is something that we have been wanting for a long time, and it's finally happening, and I am really excited about that. But in Nuuk and Ilulissat, really great tourist destinations, there are just not enough hotels at the moment. They don't have the capacity.
Tourism can be an opportunity for Greenland if it's sustainable and climate-friendly. Pippa and her fellow students represent a new generation and a grand experiment. Back in the Ahr Valley, it's a special day. The Ahrathon is the most famous sports event in the region. After a 3-year break, the marathon has attracted thousands of guests to the valley again. The route leads right through the vineyards. And just in time for the running event, the Villa Aurora is also celebrating its reopening. The Lindner family are right at the start. Runners from all over Germany come to Bad Neuenahr Ahr Valley and need a place to stay. There are regular guests among the group of 9 runners from Wattenscheid who are the first to visit after the flood.
To be honest, I was really shocked. I didn't imagine that the damage would still be so visible, because it was 2 years ago. I arrived here with my friend and told her, drive round the back of the building. There's a parking lot and the garden at the back. But then we saw that everything is still a wasteland. The hotel is halfway restored, but I was kind of shocked, I have to say.
Sabine Wolf has stayed at the Villa Aurora many times.
We are changing a lot. We are changing a lot in the basic structure. The restaurant will stay where it is. But yes, now the buffet area is getting a little bigger. The bar, the lobby, it's all going to be one room. So there's a lot going on.
Wasn't this the breakfast room or the reception?
Here in front was the bar.
Ah, yes, the bar.
You went through here towards the swimming pool.
The Art Nouveau villa is still barely recognizable. But for Christian Lindner, there is history in every room, his own and that of his ancestors.
The hotel is my childhood. It's my life. This is the life's work of my family. And what we're doing here is forward-looking, which is why we are putting so much passion into it. That's why it means an awful lot to me that we're reopening now.
Climate-friendly tourism is the start of a long-distance race for the Lindner family and for the Ahr Valley.
Basically, we can't think in terms of 1 or 2 years. We should be thinking about the next generation, which is already here and might want to continue the business. I'm very positive about that because an enormous amount of money is being invested in sustainability, renewable energies and so on. So we'll be taking a huge step forward in the next 5 to 10 years.
5 bis 10 Jahren schon einen ganz gewaltigen Schritt nach vorne machen.